First contact and subjugation. The massive alien vessel emerged from the darkness of space, its sleek metallic hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. On every screen across the planet, humanity watched in collective awe and terror as the starship, over 3 kilometers in length, settled into orbit around Earth. It was the year 2087, and humanity had finally received its answer to the age-old question. We were not alone. Within hours, smaller craft descended toward the United Nations headquarters in New York. The world held its breath as the delegation of the Vexari Dominion made first contact with humanity's leaders. High Commander Zolax, a towering figure with iridescent blue skin and 6 digits on each hand, stepped forward. His translator device converted his harmonic language into crisp English. People of Earth, we bring greetings from the Vexari Dominion, rulers of 3,000 worlds across 12 sectors of the galaxy. We have observed your civilization for some time and deemed you ready for integration. The Vexari delegation displayed holographic projections of their vast empire, gleaming cities spanning entire continents, ships that could bend space itself, and weapons that could reduce planets to rubble. It wasn't a greeting. It was a demonstration of power. In the days that followed, Earth's leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Scientists and military analysts pored over the limited data they had on Vexari technology, searching for any advantage, any weakness. There was none to be found. The gap between human technology and Vexari capabilities was too vast. They could destroy our major cities before we even launched a single missile, General Maya Chen reported to the Security Council. Their shields can withstand nuclear detonations. Their energy weapons could crack our planet's crust if deployed at full strength. 2 weeks after first contact, the Vexari issued their terms. Earth would become a protectorate of the Dominion. In exchange for security and technological guidance, humanity would provide resources, labor, and complete obedience. It wasn't a negotiation. It was a declaration. In a lavish ceremony aboard the Vexari flagship, the Treaty of Protection was signed. UN Secretary-General Adebayo's hand trembled slightly as he pressed his thumb to the glowing document. High Commander Zelax didn't even attempt to hide his smug satisfaction. Your species shows wisdom in accepting our benevolent oversight, Zelax announced to the cameras broadcasting worldwide. Unlike some primitive races who foolishly resisted, you will thrive under Vexari protection. The words stung, but there was nothing to be done. The treaty was signed, and Earth officially became the newest acquisition of the Vexari Dominion. Within months, Vexari advisors established bases across Earth. They commandeered military installations, resource-rich territories, and research facilities. Their technology, while impressive, remained locked away from human access. They shared nothing but commands. Classification report complete, announced Sub-Commander Vexel to the Dominion Council during their quarterly update. Humans, Category D intelligent species, physical attributes, weak musculature, fragile skeletal structure, limited sensory capacity, technological development, early spacefaring, pre-FTL, threat assessment, negligible, recommended exploitation, resource extraction, basic manufacturing, and potential biological research subjects. The Vexari believe humans to be docile, accepting their new place in the galactic hierarchy. But beneath the surface of compliance, humanity was far from defeated. In an abandoned mining complex beneath the Antarctic ice shelf, beyond the reach of Vexari sensors, Earth's true response was taking shape. The facility had been converted into a command center for what was now called the Terran Defense Initiative, TDI. Military leaders, scientists, engineers, and strategists from dozens of nations worked in secret, united by a common purpose. Dr. Elena Kazan, once NASA's leading propulsion expert, stood before a holographic display of a Vexari patrol ship. They think we're studying their language and culture, but we've been studying something far more important, their technology. She manipulated the display, highlighting specific sections of the alien vessel. They rely heavily on quantum-locked gravitational fields for everything. Propulsion, weapons, shields. It's elegant, but it has a fundamental vulnerability. General Chen leaned forward. What kind of vulnerability? Their systems generate a distinctive harmonic frequency pattern. We've detected it in every piece of their technology. The pattern maintains coherence across their entire energy grid. Disrupt that pattern, and the whole system fails, finished Admiral Tanaka, his eyes widening with realization. Dr. Kezen nodded. Exactly. We've been developing what we call resonance disruptors, devices that can generate counter-frequencies to destabilize their energy systems. Small-scale tests on salvaged components have been promising. The TDI had been gathering information since the day the treaty was signed. Vexari technology was advanced, but the aliens had grown complacent through centuries of unchallenged dominance. They didn't bother hiding their technical specifications from species they considered primitive. Their arrogance was becoming their weakness. In a nearby manufacturing facility, disguised as a processing plant for Vexari mineral requirements, engineers were secretly building humanity's first line of defense. Stealth vessels, resonance disruptors, and advanced drone systems were being assembled using a combination of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech. Captain Sophia Rice, former Special Forces commander, oversaw the training of what would become Earth's resistance fighters. The Vexari think humans are weak because we lack their physical strength and longevity, she told her recruits. But they fail to understand what has made humanity survive for thousands of years. Our adaptability, our creativity when facing overwhelming odds, and our absolute refusal to accept subjugation. For 18 months, the deception continued. On the surface, humans worked diligently under Vexari oversight. Resources flowed to Dominion ships, Vexari commands were obeyed, and no sign of resistance was shown. The aliens grew increasingly confident in their assessment of human psychology. These humans are more compliant than anticipated, reported Overseer Malik to High Commander Jalax during a routine inspection of North American territories. They seem to have accepted their inferior status with surprising ease. Jalax nodded dismissively. As expected, their brief history shows they quickly bowed to superior force. Continue resource extraction acceleration. The Council has increased our quotas for this sector. The Vexari's increased demands began to strain Earth's ecosystems. Rainforests were cleared for valuable minerals. Oceans were harvested of specific organisms the aliens considered delicacies, and human populations were relocated from resource-rich areas with minimal warning. In the TDI Command Center, Intelligence Officer Marcus Wong delivered the latest reports. They're stepping up operations in the Amazon basin. 3 more communities forcibly relocated last week. Similar situations in the Congo, Indonesia, and northern Canada. General Chen studied the global map, red markers indicating Vexari extraction sites multiplying across continents. How much longer until we're ready? Dr. Kezen checked her tablet. The Resonance Disruptor Network is at 82% completion. The stealth fleet stands at 23 vessels with another 15 in final assembly. Weapon systems are operational but still being calibrated for maximum effectiveness. And our people? Captain Reyes stepped forward. 12,000 trained personnel ready to deploy, with regional resistance cells established on every continent. They're waiting for the signal. Admiral Tanaka, who had been silent until now, looked up from the strategic projections. We may not have the luxury of waiting until we're fully prepared. At the current rate of extraction, critical ecosystems will collapse within months. Millions will starve. The room fell silent as the weight of the decision pressed down on them all. They had planned for a coordinated global uprising when their forces were fully ready, perhaps another 6 months of preparation. But the Vexari's accelerated exploitation was forcing their hand. There's something else, Wong added quietly. Intelligence suggests the Dominion is planning to establish processing facilities for biological resources. The details are sparse, but based on patterns from other conquered worlds, They're likely planning to harvest humans for genetic material and medical experimentation. The silence grew heavier. Then General Chen spoke, her voice firm and resolute. We strike in 30 days. All units, all sites, synchronized assault. We may not be fully ready, but neither are they. The Vexeri believe humans are weak, compliant, and technologically primitive. Their underestimation of our species will be their downfall. As the command staff dispersed to prepare their units, Dr. Kazan remained behind, studying the holographic display of Earth with its overlay of Vexeri installations. They think they know us, she whispered to herself. They've studied our bodies, our technologies, our resources, but they never bothered to study our history. How many times humanity has faced extinction and survived? How many empires have fallen after believing themselves invincible? She shut down the display with a gesture, her expression hardening with the breaking point. The mining colony on Mars had been humanity's greatest achievement before the arrival of the Vexari. Now it was just another resource extraction point for the Dominion. 3,000 colonists, once pioneers of human space exploration, had been reduced to laborers in the harsh Martian environment, working under the watchful eyes of Vexeri overseers. Colony Administrator Hannah Kim walked through the main habitat dome, her face carefully neutral despite the anger burning inside her. She nodded politely to Sub-Commander Trexel, the Vexeri official conducting his weekly inspection. Production has increased by 12% this cycle, she reported, handing over a data tablet. The new extraction techniques have proven effective. Trexel barely glanced at the report. Insufficient. The Dominion requires a minimum 20% increase. Your people are not working efficiently enough. With respect, Sub-Commander, we're already working triple shifts. The life support systems can't. Your concerns about life support are noted but irrelevant. Trexel interrupted. The Dominion has determined these quotas are achievable for your species. Failure to meet them will result in nutritional rationing. He turned to leave, then paused. Also be advised that 50 of your colonists will be transferred to the new biological research facility next week. Prepare them for transport. Hannah felt her blood run cold. Research facility. What kind of research? Trexel's multifaceted eyes blinked slowly. Nothing your primitive mind would comprehend. Just ensure they are in optimal health. The Dominion values quality specimens. After the Vexari departed, Hannah rushed to her private quarters, one of the few areas not constantly monitored by alien surveillance. She activated a hidden communication device, its technology designed by TDI to appear as background radiation to Vexari sensors. Eagle Nest, this is red dust. Priority message for command. The response came moments later, the voice distorted but understandable. This is Eagle Nest. Go ahead. Red dust. They're starting. 50 colonists marked for biological research. Transport scheduled next week. We've heard rumors about these facilities. Her voice cracked slightly. We need to move now. Back on Earth, the TDI command center erupted into activity. The intelligence had been correct. The Vexari were beginning their harvesting operations. The timetable for resistance would need to be accelerated. General Chen addressed the assembled command staff. The Mars colony situation forces our hand. We're moving the operation timeline up by 3 weeks. All units will initiate at 600 hours Greenwich Mean Time on May 15th. That's only 8 days from now. Admiral Tanaka objected. The resonance disruptor network isn't fully deployed. It's at 87%. Dr. Kazan countered. Not ideal, but enough to significantly impact their systems. The stealth fleet is combat ready and ground forces are prepared. Captain Reyes nodded grimly. My teams can be in position in 6 days, but we'll need a diversion to mask the final deployment. We have something in mind, Wong said, bringing up a tactical display. A coordinated accident at 3 major Vexari supply depots. Nothing that will look like sabotage, just human incompetence. It should create enough confusion to complete our preparations. As the final plans were put into motion, a message was covertly transmitted to all TDI cells worldwide and to hidden allies on Mars. Prometheus Protocol activated. 8 days. On the 7th day, as Hannah Kim was preparing for the confrontation to come, Vexari troops entered the Mars colony's main dome. Sub-Commander Trexel announced to the assembled colonists that the biological transport would be happening immediately, not just for 50 colonists, but for all children under the age of 15. The Dominion has determined that younger specimens provide optimal research material, he explained dispassionately. They will be well maintained until processing. A mother clutched her son to her chest. You can't take our children. Trexel gestured, and a guard struck the woman with an energy baton. She collapsed to the ground, convulsing. This is not a negotiation, Trexel stated flatly. Resistance will result in termination. Hannah stepped forward, her voice steadied despite her racing heart. Please, give us time to prepare them properly. As you said, optimal specimens are valuable. Let us ensure they're in peak condition for transport. Trexel considered for a moment, then nodded. You have 6 hours. Any attempt to hide or harm the specimens will result in dome decompression. As soon as the Vexari left, Hannah activated the emergency protocols. This is Administrator Kim to all colonists. Prometheus is launching now. I repeat, Prometheus launches now. Throughout the colony, hidden compartments opened, revealing weapons and equipment smuggled in over months. Confusion reigned in the Imperial ranks as commanders struggled to understand what had happened and regain control of their systems. This moment of chaos was exactly what humanity had been counting on. From hidden positions around Earth and its moon, the combined fleet of human and captured Vexari vessels launched a coordinated attack. Resonance disruptors targeted the Imperial ship's propulsion and shield systems, while conventional weapons focused on their now vulnerable weapons arrays. The battle was fierce and desperate. Imperial vessels, despite their confusion, were still the most powerful warships in known space. They recovered quickly and began returning fire, destroying dozens of human craft with each salvo. But they had lost their overwhelming advantage. The element of surprise was gone, their formation was broken, and most importantly, they were facing an enemy that refused to surrender despite overwhelming odds. In the midst of the battle, a transmission cut through the chaos, not from Earth or the Imperial fleet, but from elsewhere in the galaxy. On screens throughout the TDI command center appeared the image of an alien, different from the Vexari, 4-armed, with mottled green skin and large expressive eyes. This is Chancellor Xorlin of the Belsarian. Based on known Vexari FTL capabilities, the Imperial fleet will arrive in approximately 12 days. Admiral Tanaka answered. Dr. Kizan looked up from her calculations. Our current resonance disruptors won't be effective against their advanced warships. They'll have analyzed our technology and adapted their systems. Then we need something new, Chen stated. Something they won't expect. Captain Reyes stepped forward. The Vexari flagship is still in orbit, if we could capture it intact. A strike team. Tanaka nodded slowly. Board the vessel, secure their command systems and databases. I'll lead it myself, Reyes volunteered. As plans for the desperate mission took shape, Wang approached General Chen privately. There's something else you should see, he said quietly, showing her a data tablet. We've been monitoring communications from other species within the Dominion. News of our resistance is spreading. Some worlds are beginning to question Vexari rule. Chen studied the information, a glimmer of hope lighting her eyes. The Dominion isn't as unified as they wanted us to believe. No empire in history has remained invincible forever, Wang observed. Not even alien ones. As Captain Rice prepared her strike team for the daring assault on the Vexari flagship, humanity braced for the coming storm. The Imperial fleet was approaching, the most destructive force in known space, coming to erase Earth from existence. But for the first time since the Vexari arrived, humanity was united in purpose, fighting not just for survival, but for freedom. The Dominion had awakened something they never anticipated, the full measure of human resolve. And the galaxy was about to witness it. Humanity unleashed. The Vexari flagship hung in Earth orbit like a sword poised to fall. Its massive hull, nearly 5 kilometers in length, dwarfed the remnants of the Dominion's invasion force that now clustered around it for protection. High Commander Zelax paced the command bridge, fury radiating from his towering form. How? He demanded of his officers. How did these primitives develop technology capable of disrupting our systems? They were nothing, barely capable of reaching their own moon when we arrived. Analysis suggests they reverse-engineered components from our own technology, a science officer replied cautiously. They focused specifically on the harmonics of our energy matrices. Impossible. Their minds cannot comprehend. Commander, interrupted the sensor officer, we're detecting unusual movement from the lunar surface. On the tactical display, dozens of small objects were launching from hidden bases on the far side of Earth's moon. They appeared to be simple missiles, crude by Vexari standards, but their trajectory was puzzling. Rather than targeting the flagship directly, they were dispersing into apparently random positions in the space between Earth and its satellite. Zelax dismissed them with a contemptuous gesture. Let them waste their primitive weapons. The Imperial fleet arrives in 8 days. Then we will reduce this planet to atoms. What the Vexari sensors failed to detect was the true nature of these devices. Each missile was actually a next-generation resonance disruptor, designed not to destroy but to create a complex web of interfering energy fields that would trap the Vexari ships in a 3-dimensional maze of disruption zones. Simultaneously, on the dark side of a nearby asteroid, Captain Sophia Reyes and her strike team prepared for their mission. Their vessel, a hybrid of human engineering and adapted Vexari technology, was unlike anything either species had created before. Final equipment check, Reyes ordered as her 12-person team verified their specialized gear. Each member wore a suit designed to counteract Vexari security systems and carried weapons calibrated to penetrate alien defenses. Remember, our primary objective is their central database and control systems. Secondary objective is capturing Zelax if possible. We need 17 minutes to download their fleet specifications and 22 minutes for their FTL drive schematics. And if we're detected? Asked Lieutenant Quan, her second-in-command. Reyes checked her disruptor pistol one last time. Then we make enough noise to cover Dr. Kazan's team on their approach. As Reyes' stealth vessel detached from the asteroid and began its careful approach toward the flagship, another mission was already underway. 3 Vexari supply ships, captured during the initial uprising and retrofitted with human crews, approached the flagship openly. Dominion supply vessel Tarketh, requesting docking clearance, transmitted Dr. Kazan, her voice modulated to mimic Vexari speech patterns, carrying emergency replacement parts for gravitational stabilizers. After a tense moment, the flagship's automated systems granted clearance, just as TDI intelligence had predicted. The Vexari, arrogant in their technological superiority, relied heavily on automated protocols that TDI specialists had spent months studying and learning to manipulate. As the supply ships docked at different points along the flagship's massive hull, Reyes' stealth vessel slipped through a maintenance access port undetected. The complex operation had begun. On Earth, General Chen monitored both teams' progress from the TDI command center. Status on the resonance web. Deployment at 82% and counting, reported Admiral Tanaka. The Vexari still haven't recognized the pattern. They think we're simply placing mines. And the Imperial fleet. Our deep space monitors confirm they've accelerated. New arrival estimate, 6 days, 14 hours. Chen studied the strategic display, her expression grave. Then we have less than a week to prepare Earth's final defense. Aboard the Vexari flagship, Reyes' team moved through maintenance corridors designed for robotic drones, avoiding populated sections. Using adapted Vexari tech, they interfaced with the ship's systems, creating sensor shadows to mask their presence. They reached the central database hub without incident, Almost too easily, Reyes thought. Stay alert, she warned her team as they began the delicate process of extracting the critical data. This feels like. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. But strangely, it wasn't for their section. Security breach detected in Docking Bay 7, announced the ship's automated system in the harmonic tones of the Vexeri language. All security personnel respond. That's Kazan's team, Quan whispered. They've been discovered. Reyes nodded grimly. They knew it might happen. Keep working. We need that data. In Docking Bay 7, Dr. Kazan and her engineers fought a desperate holding action against Vexeri security forces. They had successfully planted their specialized devices throughout the flagship's power distribution network, but early detection had forced them into a defensive position. Status. Kazan demanded as she took cover behind a bulkhead, energy blasts scorching the metal around her. 80% of disruptors placed, reported Chief Engineer Okafor, firing back at the advancing Vexeri troops. Need another 4 minutes for the remaining critical nodes. You've got 2, Kazan decided, pulling a spherical device from her pack. I'll buy you time. She activated the device, an experimental sensory overload generator designed specifically for Vexeri neurological systems, and rolled it toward the enemy position. The resulting burst of energy didn't harm the aliens physically but disrupted their highly sensitive perceptual organs, causing momentary confusion and disorientation. Move, Kazan ordered, and her team dashed toward the final deployment points, while the Vexeri guards reeled from the sensory assault. Meanwhile, Reyes' team completed their download just as the flagship systems began detecting their intrusion. We've got what we need, she announced. Prepare for extraction. But as they turned to leave, the chamber's main door slid open to reveal High Commander Zelax himself, flanked by elite guards. Insects, he hissed, his towering form filling the doorway. Did you truly believe you could infiltrate my vessel undetected? Reyes didn't waste time responding. She signaled her team, and they executed their contingency plan. A coordinated attack using their specialized disruptors. 2 of Zelax's guards fell immediately, their neural systems overloaded by the targeted frequencies. But Zelax himself seemed unaffected. Your primitive weapons are useless against me, he growled, advancing into the room. I have studied your disruptor technology. My personal shields have been adapted. Reyes backed away, keeping distance between herself and the massive alien. We anticipated that, she replied calmly. Then she activated her communicator. Firebird now. Throughout the flagship, the devices planted by Dr. Kazan's team activated simultaneously. Unlike the external resonance disruptors, these were designed to work from inside the Vexeri systems, creating cascading failures in their power grid. The lights flickered, then died, plunging the chamber into darkness. Emergency illumination activated moments later, casting everything in a red glow. Zelax roared in fury as he realized what was happening. His ship was being crippled from within. In the confusion, Reyes and her team escaped through a maintenance shaft, making their way toward the extraction point. Behind them, the flagship systems continued to fail as the internal disruptors spread their influence throughout the vessel's network. On the bridge, Vexeri officers struggled to maintain control as system after system went offline. The humans, one reported to Zelax when he returned, rage distorting his features. They've infected our central power distribution with some kind of cascading disruption field. It's spreading to every system. Isolate and purge. Zelax commanded. We cannot, Commander. The disruption is embedded in the power harmonics themselves. Attempting to isolate one system affects all others. As the flagship began to drift, its gravitational stabilizers failing, the other Vexeri vessels suddenly found themselves trapped in the web of external resonance disruptors that had been positioned around Earth. Attempting to maneuver through this invisible maze, several ships collided or suffered critical system failures. From the TDI command center, General Chen watched the chaos unfolding in orbit. Both teams have extracted safely, Admiral Tanaka reported. The flagship is effectively neutralized, and the remaining Dominion vessels are in disarray. The first phase is complete, Chen acknowledged. Now for the hard part. Dr. Kazan and Captain Rice arrived at the command center hours later, bringing with them the invaluable data stolen from the Vexari database. Engineers and scientists immediately began analyzing the information, focusing particularly on the specifications of the approaching Imperial fleet. Their planet-killer weapons utilize a form of concentrated gravitational compression, Dr. Kazan explained as she displayed the technical schematics. Essentially, they create a localized singularity and direct it toward the target planet's core. Can our resonance disruptors affect these weapons? Chen asked. Kazan shook her head. Not directly. The energy matrices are too heavily shielded. But, she added, a gleam of inspiration in her eyes, what if we don't try to disrupt their weapons? What if we turn them against each other? The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. Using the captured Vexari flagship, now under human control, they would position it at the forefront of Earth's defensive line. When the Imperial fleet arrived, they would use a modified version of the resonance technology, not to disable the enemy ships, but to create false targeting data. If we can make their gravitic weapons target each other instead of Earth, Admiral Tanaka let the implication hang in the air. It could work. Kazan nodded. But we'll only get one chance. For the next 5 days, Earth prepared for what might be humanity's final stand. The captured Vexari technology was integrated into a global defense network. The resonance web was expanded and reinforced. Every available ship, both human and captured alien, was armed and positioned according to the desperate strategy. And across the planet, people waited. The Imperial Annihilation Fleet arrived precisely on schedule, emerging from faster-than-light travel in a spectacular display of power. 50 massive warships, each easily dwarfing the captured flagship, arranged themselves in attack formation. Their design was different from the vessels humans had encountered before, darker, more angular, bristling with weapon emplacements. From the command center, General Chen opened a communication channel. This is General Maya Chen of the Terran Defense Initiative. We offer the Vexari Dominion one opportunity to withdraw and recognize Earth's independence, refuse, and face the consequences. The response came immediately, transmitted across all frequencies for maximum psychological impact. The alien that appeared on the screen was unlike Xilax. Older, his blue skin faded to a pale gray, his eyes deep-set and cold. I am Grand Admiral Corvin of the Imperial Annihilation Fleet. Your species has committed the ultimate transgression against the Dominion. The penalty is extinction. Prepare for termination. Chen cut the transmission and turned to her staff. All units, execute Operation Reflection. The captured Vexari flagship, piloted by a skeleton crew of human volunteers, moved to engage the Imperial fleet. Following the carefully calculated strategy, it transmitted specific frequency patterns designed to confuse the targeting systems of the planet-killer weapons. The Imperial vessels, detecting what appeared to be the flagship of their advance force, hesitated briefly, just long enough for the human-controlled vessel to activate its modified resonance disruptors at maximum power. Across the Imperial fleet, targeting systems suddenly received contradictory information. Their sophisticated gravitic weapons, preparing to fire on Earth, instead locked onto the nearest energy signatures, which, due to the disruptor's influence, appeared to be other Imperial ships. The result was catastrophic. As the Imperial fleet fired their planet killers simultaneously, the gravitational singularities they generated were directed not at Earth, but at vessels within their own formation. 5 Imperial warships imploded instantly, crushed by their allies' weapons. The resulting gravitational distortions spread outward, catching 7 more vessels in their destructive wake. Colonists who had once been military personnel quickly organized defense teams. Engineers disabled monitoring systems and sealed access points. In her office, Hannah activated the colony's hidden transmitter, broadcasting on a frequency the TDI had designated for emergencies. Eagle Nest, this is red dust. The harvest has begun. We cannot wait. Prometheus launching now. Request immediate assistance. On Earth, the message sparked immediate action. General Chen ordered the TDI to full alert. All units, this is command. Prometheus protocol is now. I repeat, execute Prometheus now. Across the globe, hidden resistance cells sprang into action. In orbit, disguised satellites suddenly altered their configurations, revealing resonance disruptors that began bombarding Vexeri installations with targeted energy patterns. The first sign that something was wrong came when the lights flickered in the Vexeri command center in Geneva. High Commander Zelax was in the middle of a transmission to the Dominion Council when communication systems failed. What is happening? He demanded as technicians scrambled to restore power. An aide rushed in, his usual composure shattered. Commander, we're receiving reports of system failures at all major installations. Our shields are collapsing, weapons systems are offline, and we've lost contact with 60% of our ground forces. Zelax's eyes narrowed. Impossible. These primitives don't have the technology to. The building shook as something exploded nearby. Through the viewport, Zelax watched in disbelief as one of their patrol ships spiraled out of control, crashing into Lake Geneva in a spectacular eruption of steam and debris. We are under attack, he realized, rage building in his voice. By humans. In space, the TDI's stealth fleet decloaked around Earth and Mars, targeting Vexeri vessels with precision strikes. The alien ships, their systems disrupted by the resonance network, found themselves vulnerable for the first time in centuries of warfare. On Mars, Hannah led the colonists in a desperate defense of their dome. Vexeri troops, their advanced weapons malfunctioning, resorted to physical force. The battle was brutal and close quarters, but the humans fought with the ferocity of those protecting their children. Sub-Commander Trexel found himself cornered in the command center, his guards dead around him. Hannah approached, a makeshift weapon in her hands. You never bothered to study human history, she told him calmly. If you had, you would have learned what happens when you threaten our children. The battle for Mars Colony ended when 3 TDI stealth ships arrived, delivering reinforcements and securing the dome. Across Earth, similar scenarios played out as humanity rose up against their oppressors. Vexeri troops, cut off from their command structure and with their technology failing, found themselves facing an enemy they had grievously underestimated. In the TDI command center, reports flooded in from around the world. Los Angeles Vexeri headquarters neutralized. Beijing installation under human control. Cairo reports all Dominion forces in retreat. Orbital defense network online. 6 Vexeri cruisers disabled. Dr. Kazan monitored the resonance disruptor network, making real-time adjustments to counter Vexeri attempts to adapt. They're trying to recalibrate their systems, she reported. But every time they find a workaround, we're introducing new disruption patterns. General Chen studied the tactical display, where blue indicators representing liberated human territories were spreading across the map. Status on Mars Colony. Secured, Captain Rice confirmed. Administrator Kim reports minimal casualties. All colonists safe. For 3 days, the battle raged across Earth and Mars. The Vexeri, despite their superior technology, found themselves unprepared for human tactics. They had expected submission, not innovation. They had prepared for conventional warfare, not the asymmetrical approach humanity employed. By the 4th day, surviving Vexeri forces had retreated to their remaining orbital vessels, abandoning ground installations. High Commander Zelax, from his flagship above Earth, sent an emergency transmission to the Dominion homeworld. The humans have revealed unexpected technological capabilities and combat strategies, he reported, struggling to maintain his composure. We require immediate reinforcement. Send the Imperial fleet. These creatures must be exterminated completely. The response was immediate. The Dominion Council activated their most powerful military force, the Imperial Annihilation Fleet, composed of 50 planet killer vessels, each capable of reducing a world to molten slag. As the transmission was intercepted by TDI intelligence, a somber mood fell over the command center. They had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. "How long do we have?" General Chen asked.